Breaking down Plug Power's SEC filing. What's an 8K and why should you care? Alright, so let's talk about something that most people never look at, but actually tells you a lot about what's happening behind the scenes in companies. SEC filings. Today, we're diving into Plug Power's 8K filing. But wait, don't click away. I promise, it's not as boring as it sounds. This document is like a company's breaking news announcement to investors. So let's break it down in a way that actually makes sense. 1. What is an 8K form? Think of an 8K as an official heads up from a company to the government and investors about something important happening. Unlike a regular earnings report, this isn't scheduled. Companies file an 8K whenever there's big news that investors should know about ASAP. When do companies file an 8K? A CEO quits or gets fired. A company gets sued. A big financial deal is announced. The company is merging with another business. They're going bankrupt. Basically, any event that could affect stock prices. So an 8K is like a breaking news report, straight from the company itself. 2. What's in this 8K from Plug Power? This 8K is Plug Power's current report, filed on February 10th, 2025. Let's break it down piece by piece. Company info at the top. Plug Power Inc. That's the company filing the report. Delaware. That's where it's legally incorporated. A lot of companies register in Delaware because of tax benefits. Commission file number 134392. This is just the SEC's way of tracking filings. IRS employer ID 2236723377. Basically, Plug Power's official tax number. Address and contact info. Plug Power's headquarters is at 125 Vista Boulevard, Slingerlands, New York. Their phone number is 518-782-7700. Not that you'd call them, but hey, it's there. What's this filing about? This section lets the company check boxes if this report is about things like mergers, stock sales, or regulatory communications. In this case, none of those boxes are checked, which means this filing isn't about a huge corporate action like a merger or takeover. It's more of a straightforward update. 3. The stock market details. This is where it gets interesting for investors. They list the securities, stocks, they have registered. Plug Power's stock details. Common stock, par value, 0.01 per share. This just means the company's regular shares are legally valued at 1 cent each, but their market price is way higher. Trading symbol, plug. This is what you search on the stock market to find their shares. Exchange, NASDAQ Capital Market. That's where their stock is traded. 4. Emerging growth company. Now, there's a checkbox that asks whether Plug Power is an emerging growth company, meaning a smaller company that gets special regulatory breaks under the Jobs Act. They didn't check the box, meaning Plug Power doesn't qualify as a young startup anymore. It's grown past that stage. Why does this matter? Companies that are emerging growth companies get to delay following some strict accounting rules. But Plug Power isn't taking advantage of that, which means they're playing by the full SEC rulebook. 5. What's the point of this filing? At the end of the day, an 8K is the company's way of keeping investors informed. If a company hides something big, and the SEC finds out, they can get in serious legal trouble. So, these filings help keep everything transparent and legal. Why should investors care? If you own Plug Power stock, this tells you what's happening behind the scenes. It helps traders predict stock movements. If this had major bad news, the stock could tank. It builds trust. Companies that file clean, timely 8Ks show they're not hiding anything. So there you have it, an 8K filing, explained in plain English. Think of it like a company's version of breaking news. And now that you know what to look for, you can start spotting the important details in these reports yourself. Plug Power just made a $1 billion deal. What this means for investors. Alright, so Plug Power just signed a big money deal, up to $1 billion in stock sales. But what does that actually mean? Are they about to blow up? Or is this a red flag? Today, we're breaking down what's inside their latest SEC 8K filing, so you know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. 1. What happened? On February 10th, 2025, Plug Power signed a standby equity purchase agreement with YA2PN, Ltd., which is managed by Yorkville Advisors Global. Basically, this means Plug Power can sell up to $1 billion worth of shares to Yorkville, but they don't have to. It's more like a just-in-case stock sale agreement rather than an upfront investment. Key points. Plug Power isn't required to sell any shares, but they have the option. The stock being sold is their common stock, regular shares that trade on the market. Each sale, called an advance, can be up to $10 million per day. The investor, Yorkville, gets the shares at a 5% discount to the daily weighted average stock price. So, Plug Power can basically tap into this billion-dollar piggy bank whenever they need cash, but they'll be selling shares at a discount, which could dilute existing shareholders. 2. How does this work? Conditions for the investor to buy the stock. Plug Power needs to file an effective registration statement with the SEC. A prospectus supplement needs to be included, basically a formal sales document. If those conditions are met, Plug Power can start selling shares, but only when they choose. How sales are controlled. Plug Power decides when and how much stock to sell. Market conditions will influence when they make these sales. The deal expires on February 10th, 2027, or earlier, if the full $1 billion in stock has been sold. 3. Why does this matter to investors? Potential positives. Plug Power gets a flexible funding option without needing loans. The company can raise cash without upfront debt or high interest payments. This cash could go towards expanding operations, new projects, or paying off existing debt. Potential negatives. Stock dilution. Every time Plug Power sells more shares, existing shares lose value. The company is selling at a discount, 5% below market price, meaning it's not the best deal for long-term investors. If they need to sell a lot of shares quickly, it might signal financial trouble. 4. The $1 million commitment fee. Yorkville isn't just doing this out of kindness, they're getting compensated upfront. Plug Power paid them $1 million just for the right to access this $1 billion in funding. Why this matters. This fee isn't refundable, meaning even if Plug Power never sells a single share, Yorkville still keeps that cash. It shows that Plug Power is serious about this deal and is planning to use it. 5. What's Plug Power using this money for? According to the filing, the cash from this stock sale is going towards working capital and general corporate purposes. That's pretty broad, but it usually means things like expanding production, paying off debt, funding research and development, keeping operations running smoothly. Essentially, it's like a financial safety net for the company. 6. The legal disclaimer, aka don't get sued. Section. At the end of the filing, Plug Power covers their bases legally, stating, "This isn't an offer to buy or sell stock. The deal isn't valid in places where securities laws don't allow it. The summary they provided is not the full agreement. The real legal document is filed separately as Exhibit 10.1. Basically, they don't want investors thinking this is some kind of guaranteed stock deal or making investment decisions based only on this summary." So what's the takeaway? Plug Power just set up a big money lifeline, a $1 billion backup plan they can use when they need cash. If used wisely, this could help them expand and grow. But if they start dumping shares onto the market too fast, it could be a warning sign. Plug Power's secret stock sale. What you need to know. Alright, we're on page 3 of Plug Power's latest SEC filing, and this part is all about unregistered stock sales, which sounds kinda shady, but it's actually a common move for companies raising money. So what does this mean for investors? Let's break it down. One unregistered sale of equity securities, item 3.02. What's happening? Plug Power is selling stock to Yorkville Advisors, the investor from earlier. without registering it with the SEC. Normally, when a company sells stock, it has to go through a registration process with the SEC to make sure everything's legit. But here, Plug Power is using an exemption under Section 4A(2) of the Securities Act, which lets them sell stock privately to accredited investors. What's an accredited investor? A rich investor or a financial institution that meets the SEC's definition under Regulation D. Basically, people or firms with enough money and experience to handle risky investments. Why is this important? These shares are not available to the public. If you're a regular retail investor, you're not getting in on this deal. It means Plug Power is raising cash in a way that avoids SEC registration headaches. But these shares still exist and can later hit the market. Potential impact on investors. Since these shares aren't registered, they can't be freely traded right away, but eventually they could hit the market and increase supply, which could put downward pressure on the stock price. Investors should watch how many of these unregistered shares get sold over time, because too much dilution can hurt existing shareholders. 2. Financial statements and exhibits. Item 901. This is where Plug Power attaches the official documents related to the filing. Exhibit 10.1. This is the actual standby equity purchase agreement between Plug Power and Yorkville. If you're a serious investor, this is the doc you'd read to see all the fine print. Exhibit 104. This is just an interactive data file for SEC compliance. Nothing juicy here, just technical stuff for accountants and regulators. So, what's the takeaway? Plug Power is raising money by selling unregistered shares to a private investor, which lets them avoid the long SEC registration process. But for regular investors, this means more shares could hit the market in the future, potentially affecting stock prices. Who signed off on Plug Power's $1 billion deal? So, we've gone through all the juicy details of Plug Power's SEC filing, how they're raising up to $1 billion, the unregistered stock sales, and what it all means for investors. Now, we're at the final piece, the signatures. You might think this is just boring legal stuff, but there's actually a reason this page matters. Let's break it down. 1. The purpose of the signature page. This is the part where the company officially signs off on everything we just read. The SEC requires that every 8K filing be signed by an authorized executive, someone who's responsible for ensuring the filing is accurate and legally compliant. Who signed it? Paul Middleton, Plug Power's Chief Financial Officer, CFO. Signed on February 10th, 2025. Why does this matter? The CFO is basically the money guy. He handles the financials, accounting, and corporate funding decisions. His signature means he's taking responsibility for this agreement and its accuracy. If there were any shady details in this deal, the CFO could be held accountable by regulators. 2. What happens next? Now that this 8K is filed, what does it mean for investors? Plug Power can start selling shares under this deal whenever they choose. Investors will watch for how much stock they sell and whether it dilutes share value. Analysts will track how Plug Power uses the money, whether it actually helps their business grow or just props up their cash reserves. Wrapping up. Plug Power's $1 billion deal. Alright, Info-Nauts, let's bring this all together and talk about the big picture. We just explored a portion of Plug Power's 41-page SEC filing, specifically covering the current report, pages 1-4, and part of the standby equity purchase agreement, pages 5-6. While we could spend hours deciphering every legal clause, we cut through the jargon and pulled out what actually matters. The pros and cons of Plug Power's stock deal. The pros: flexible funding. Plug Power can raise cash as needed instead of taking on debt. Strategic sales. No obligation to sell everything at once, giving them control. Potential for growth. If used wisely, this capital could fuel expansion. The cons: stock dilution risk. More shares in the market can lower stock value. Selling at a discount. Investors are buying at 95% of market price. Market timing matters. Poorly timed sales could hurt Plug's stock price. What we didn't cover yet. While we explored the current report, there's still more pages in this filing that we could break down in future videos, such as Standby Equity Purchase Agreement, pages 537, the deep dive into the full contract, Form of Advance Notice, pages 38 to 39, the actual request Plug Power sends when they sell stock, Settlement Document, pages 40-41, the final agreement that locks in the sales. If you want a breakdown of these sections, drop a comment below and let me know. Infonaut's SEC filings aren't exactly light reading. They're dense, full of legalese, and packed with financial technicalities. But that's why we do what we do here. We explore the vast universe of information and make it easier to navigate. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and let me know what company filings or financial topics we should explore next. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.